Hey everyone, this is Eric from Engramic, and today we're going to build a investment committee memo, a really quick one. These normally take months to build, and we're going to use a limited set of source data, but I think the idea scales to something that actually could be used for writing investment committee memos, and so I'm just going to jump into it and walk you through it. So I've got my data room. It's not much of one. It's just got 3 files in it right now. It's got a SIM, got an income statement, and a management call. And we're going to start from that and jump into the main screen. And I'm going to open up the SIM. All right. I'm going to select all of the pages of the SIM, and I'm going to start by using a tool called Company Overview. And let this run, and I'll describe what it did after we're done. Okay, now that took about 50 seconds to run. I will be fast forwarding after I hit submit, so you don't have to watch all the processing time. That usually takes between 30 to 60 seconds. All right, so here's my initial review. I would read through this. Okay, so this gave me an entire overview, and then there's a lot of things that were missing here because Company Overview defines kind of a structure for what would be expected to find when it is running that report, and it didn't find it, so it marks it down here as key diligence items. So the way Engramic works is when you make a report, you are supposed to take ownership of this report. You are the accountable one, not the AI. It has your name right here. Your username is drilled into the report, and you're supposed to review it and edit it. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time editing today, but it wouldn't be uncommon for me to spend 30, 40 minutes editing this document, and you edit it by asking questions and telling it to remove sections. But then once you get it to where you believe in it and it's something that you would put your stand behind on your work, you hit save, and now it's down here as an artifact. And once it's an artifact, it then is something that you can reference later, and it also becomes an input for future queries, right? So now I'd be querying every page in the SIM plus the company overview. All right, I'm going to move on and write another section, do a little bit more research. Let's do this market and competitive landscape. So here's my slide. I'm going to take the company overview plus this slide, so it has a little more context, and I'm going to ask it to do a market analysis, plus I'm going to turn on internet so it'll go out to the web and grab live data from the internet as well. Let's give this a shot. All right, so I have my market analysis. It's showing me what came from the slides. And then down here, it shows me what came from the web sources. And these are all the citations. You can click on these individually and go through. And eventually, that's just a feature we haven't implemented yet. This will be in line with the document itself, so you can see where each source comes from. But this is a reasonable market analysis. Again, I would read this and understand it and make sure that I'm willing to back this work. And when I reach that goal, I'll hit save. Now I have a market analysis and a company overview. So let's close those out. All right, moving on. I'm going to take the market analysis and the company overview. I'm going to generate some more content by doing a Pestle analysis. Let's give this a shot. I'm going to leave the internet on for this one. All right, the Pestle Analysis pulled a lot of research for it. So we've got 37 sources being pulled in here. So this is the overview. It's very dense, lots of prose here. Read through this, understand it, make sure you like it. And now we're going to save it. Oops. I do believe that's pretty funny. My token expired, so now I got to log out and log back in. All right, no problem. That's a security feature. We actually care about this. What did I do wrong? Invalid. Hilarious. Okay, we're back at it. So I'm logged back in. Here's my Pestle analysis. And luckily I saved it before that did that. Otherwise I might have had to regenerate that. So now I've got my Pestle analysis. Let's open up my SIM again. All right, silly. All right, next I have a spreadsheet that I downloaded, and I ended up making a pivot table out of it, something that I can't quite do yet in Engramic, but I'm going to take my pivot table that I made, and you can't see this because it's off screen, but I'm going to copy with a screenshot, and now I'm going to come over here and paste it. All right, so now I've pasted this revenue in here. It's 3 years of revenue. It is by quarter, by product. And so I'm going to ask it to build me a revenue analysis. I'll turn the company overview on so it has context to what these products are. Let's give this a shot. Okay, so now I've got my revenue analysis, give me an executive summary. I've got my years of revenue. Let's see, and it goes through and talks about the products. Again, this is including things that it thinks it should based on what a revenue analysis would do. If you want something specific, then you can make your own tool for your firm right here doing this. All right, so because they're completely customizable. All right, I'm going to stick with that revenue analysis and I'm going to save it. And now we're starting to get like some real data here that we're working with. I got a Pestle analysis, my market analysis, company overview, revenue breakdown. Let's do something with the numbers. Let's have a little more fun. I'm going to open up this income statement and I'm going to first extract all the data from this income statement. So let's just do that first. All right, it extracted and you look at it, it actually looks very similar, right? Notice how it took the coloring and the formatting and everything and brought it into HTML. Generally, it's accurate, but I would, of course, validate it because my name's on it. And I'm going to save that. And the reason that I extracted this is one of the things that's unique about this product is it gives you a lot of control over input and what goes into the LLM. And the basic use of it, you get better at learning how to send things to the LLM. It's a skill that you develop. But in general, the more you send it, the worse your results will be. It'll start to hallucinate eventually. So this image is heavier than this HTML in terms of the amount of information it sends to the LLM. So I first convert it and bring it into this HTML format. And now I'm going to run, which is a heavy process. I have it in experimental still. It's called screening model. So let's run the screening model on the historical income statement. And I'm going to turn off company overview and let's give it a run. All right, so that generated me this interactive LBO model. That's something I haven't mentioned yet. These responses that you get aren't just static, they can also be interactive. So this one is starting with some constants and I have some assumptions that I can target and change and see how my deal summary is affected by interest rates and whatnot, and see how my IRR changes. It did all the projections as well. You can adjust them as well and make them what you want to be. And it gives you some, like a good associate. It's footnoting here what the assumptions are and what's missing from the instructions. So I'm going to just save this as it is right now. And now we've got basically some LBO data saved as well. All right, what else do I want to do? Maybe I'll just talk about some of the things I could do instead of doing them all. So I could have, tracked my sim questions. I can, I won't cover them. I could validate math on a page. I have a financial page with an error and the math validation will catch it. Oh, this white space question. This is a good one. Let's do a white space question. So a white space question is when we take a look at the sim and then ask it, what is missing? What's the banker not saying that is really important? So I'm going to put in white space question and I'll say, let's ask it and see what it comes up with. Wow, that one ran for a long time. That was 74 seconds. I don't know if I've ever seen one run that long. Okay, so the white question analysis, this is to help make you think, right? This is what Engramic isn't just about making reports that are passive. They're about making reports that makes you think about things. So focus versus omission, metric definitions and adjustments, consider core economics, pressure test the durability, and then gives you some key diligence items. So I'm actually not going to save this one, but just wanted to at least show you that feature. Again, the whole point here is that we're trying to make you think. All right. And then lastly, I'm not going to do these now, but these are really nifty too. Testing my knowledge. I can have it give me multiple choice questions. I can do a meeting practice, which is also an interactive experience to help you prep for meetings, flashcards, mentor markup. We'll do that one later because we'll do that at the end. That's one of my favorites. All right. So we'll leave that one. We're not going to save it. And let's actually start writing the memo now. It's, obviously we haven't done enough work for a real memo, but let's just give it a shot anyway. So I'm going to start with the company overview. And let's see, what else should I include? I'll include the LBO model, and let's just leave it at that for now. Well, maybe I'll pull in the financials too. All right, let's ask it to, and this really, I should have a tool for writing like the first part of investment committee memo. I don't have that, so I'm just going to talk to it and tell it to write, the executive summary of the investment committee memo. All right, so here we go. This covers an investment thesis, which, we didn't really work on. Oh, I didn't mention that I do have a criteria assessment, which would be really helpful for making this section better. But there's some historical performance, projected investment returns. You know what? Let's color this up a little bit and say, let's include some graphs and charts. All right, let's take a look. I hope it made it pretty. Oh, geez, it's interactive. Had to go and be fancy, didn't it? All right, so you've got a chart there. We've got a few more here. It's a little heavy on the charts, I think, but why not? I got my investment returns. It's kind of a weird looking, opening executive summary, but we'll keep it just for now, just so we don't spend the time iterating on it. And so I'm going to save this, and when I do, I'm going to rename it so that I keep track. Memo. And I'll call it section 1. All right, so now I got memo section 1. Let's work on a company overview. And you know what? I didn't get anything from the management call here. So let's grab the management call that we had, and I'm gonna grab the company overview, and let's just leave it at that. And I'm going to ask it to write, company section. Oh, I'm going to include the first page of the memo so that it's not too redundant as well. Let me give that a prompt. All right, so now I have my company overview section: business, go to market, market landscape and positioning, management and organization. Not bad. I told it to be light on products because that was coming next. But maybe I'd want to include a little bit more in this section. I'm not super happy with what it did. I would edit it, change it, make it exactly what I like. It could be worse. I've seen worse. And all right, so I'm going to save that. And again, I'm going to rename it Memo Section 2. All right. So let's see, I've got a company section. Let's do a product, and we'll combine product and market just for brevity here. There's my market analysis. There's my company overview. I think that's where most of my product information is. Maybe I'll go back and take something from the sim. Let's take a look at these pages. Let's see, KPI, operation performance, financial, balance sheet. There's not really a product section in here, I don't think. Process overview. Wow, that's a horrible sim, huh? All right, well, I'll just leave it. I know there is some product information that the overview pulls from, that it pulled from the other slides. So let's include the Pestle Analysis, I guess. And we'll say, please write a section on, and I'll include page 2 and page 1 and page 2. All right, so that's everything that I am submitting. All right, let's write it. All right, let's take a look. Got my product and market. I already see some duplication here. Yeah, this is covering Net Promoter Score, and this is covering Net Promoter Score. So, I would remove any kind of duplication. Again, your name's on this, so you got to make sure that you like it. Competitive landscape, market overview and drivers, product and portfolio. All right. It's obviously I'm going really, really fast here. This is a document we normally take months to write, and I'm just going really fast. So it's a little hard to move on and let it go, but I'm going to do that. I'll save this. I'll call this section 3. All right, now I want to do a section that we haven't done at all yet. So I'm going to include screening, financials, analysis. Actually, let's cut the financials, leave the LBO model, include Pestle Analysis, market analysis, and company overview. And this time I'm going to do a risk register. So let's let this run. All right, so here's a risk register. Gross margin compression continues due to rising input costs is the one that is marked as the highest. Customer churn continues to increase above the 3% target. So I got a handful of things of risks, something all the way down to low. We're going to save this because this is going to be important in our next section. Let's write, I'm going to keep the risk register, and let's include the company overview. And let's say, write me, I'll include the other memos too. Let's just include memo section 2 and 3 this time. The less I can include, the better. Write me, I'll run this and kick it off. All right, so here is what it came up with. Risks and further considerations, key diligence areas, next steps. All right, let's save this. And we'll rename it. Oh, silly, it called it section 567. Not sure why I did that. Again, we could fix that and just tell it to make sure that it understands that it made a mistake. Again, LLMs are not perfect, but we have the control to make them better. All right, so I got section 1, 2, and 3. Let's have it wrap everything up with a closing statement. All right, it called it 5678 because I didn't fix it before, so it's just building on its errors here. Again, you got to stop those errors sooner rather than later. All right, so it gave me a summary of the opportunity, key considerations, and the recommendation, and we're going to save that off. All right, so now we got 5 sections of a memo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make sure that's all we're including. Oh, I still got the company overview in there. Let's turn that off. And the last artifact is not selected. Okay, I'm just going to close these to clean it up. All right, so now if you wanted to finish this, there's not really a tool that puts all these pages together for us yet. And so really the best way to do this would be to share them with people. So I would share them each individually and say, if I share this, now it's available to anyone else. If someone else was logged in and they were part of this directory, it would be under their shared with me. For me, it shows up in my shared directory. So that would be one way that you could share this document, and you can read it pretty easily too. Like you come in here and then you open it, and then now I can read it in my own page, so it looks nice. But we're gonna just, we're gonna YOLO this for a second, and I'm gonna tell it to combine all the sections, which what's gonna do is gonna compress it to like something probably about 2 pages, which is, certainly not sufficient for a full memo, but we're gonna do it for the fun of it. Let's give it a shot, and I'll let it run. All right, so this is the big one. This is the final report. So it ran for over 70 seconds, which is pretty long, but it's still it still had to cut things out in order to make it fit. LLMs just don't make things that long yet. I put it on Deep Think as well, so it gave it a lot more time. But let's just give it a scan and see what we made here. All right, we got returns, key risks and diligence, company overview, market organization, V1 products and market overview and drivers, competitive landscape, risks and further considerations. What I don't like about it right now is just the way that it looks. So I am going to save this. All right, I'm going to turn off the others. That's my final one. Now this is going to give me less into the context window, which means it's going to be able to do more. I'm going to let's keep deep thinking turned on. And I'm going to just ask it to work on the visual hierarchy of this document to make it, more appealing. Wow, that sucker ran for 90 seconds. All right, let's take a look. Let's see if it did a good job. All right, I've got my header here. Got the dates to the deal team. All right, this looks pretty good. Not bad. It's a little boxy here. I was hoping for some, better kind of like call outs, and things are a little short, but you know what? That was a lot of content to try to compress. This is wrong. All right, you know what we're going to do now is the final step is I'm going to do what's called mentor markup. This is going to be fun. All right, let's let this run. All right, so here we go. Now we've got our notes from our mentor, and I could go through here. Excellent opening, direct, states the recommendation, summaries, keys. Let's find something. This is good summary of opportunities. Note to draft. Oh, he's really liking this. Normally it's a little bit more asking you to fix things. Good summaries. Let's find something more of a critique. The section is strong, but appears again in a more detailed section of 5, 6, 7. For our final memo, these should be consolidated. So I found some issues with redundancy. Rephrase to be more conclusive, suggest diligence must determine. So it'll pick out things like it doesn't like the way that you write, you're not being direct enough. The content in sections 5, 6, 7 is good, but fragmented. I focused my detailed comments on the duplication risk as that's the most critical edit. So it's great. It goes through it. It's going to make you better. So, and then finally, this is excellent recommendations, direct summarization. All right. So, and that can all be tailored to all that advice. We can tailor it and say exactly how you want to. So that's it in a nutshell. That's Engramic. That's how you could use it. Now, again, I wouldn't have combined all those at the end. That's not the right way to do it. These should be individually, appended. And at each step along the way, you should validate, make sure you like it. Think of this as more of a brainstorming tool, a thinking tool, and then a glorified word processor. But at the end of the day, like down here at the bottom, my name's on the line, right? I'm the person that generated this report. And so I'm accountable for everything that's in here. You can't hold AI accountable and say, well, like, why was this wrong? Oh, the AI did it wrong. Like, that's not going to fly. So this is a horrible memo, but I think you could see now how the process would work and how you could use this. And maybe over the course of a week, maybe we could now write an investment memo instead of, a couple months. Of course, you also have to take the time to think and digest and understand it. You have to take the time to have all the meetings with the management. And so there's still iteration that has to happen. But I truly think that this is a huge improvement in efficiency so that you're, instead of spending 80% of your time writing and 20% of your time thinking, you're spending 80% of your time thinking and 20% of your time writing. That's the goal here. All right, thanks. If you stuck along for this video and you've actually watched this long, 39 minutes, kudos to you. Of course, it's going to be shorter. I'm going to speed up all those little sections. But anyways, kudos to you. Thanks for coming along on the journey. Thank you.